My name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, probably today we're in Pomona Rick's shed.
This is G'day YouTube, I'm Rick, we're in Rick's shed.
Yeah, it's Rick's shed, not Bundy Bear's shed. But we come for a lap down. Well, Rick's been my mate for 40 years, the best man at his wedding a while ago. And he got all excited. Well, you're losing years. And,
I'm 49 next year, Lance is older than me.
49, yeah. You've been 49 for 10 years now. Yeah. But yeah, look, Rick been wanting a lathe for years, and he ended up getting a lathe. His sister bought a property, and there was an old derelict place. Well, the machinery was derelict by the sound of it. There was this old lathe there that they were told was rooted, so they were thinking of selling it for scrap or just getting rid of it. So anyway, his sister, Rick showed a bit of interest in it, so his sister gave it to him, and so he got a bit excited about having this lathe, and I got a bit excited with him, and so now it's here. We thought we'd come down to Pomona for the weekend and have a few quiet beers and a few red wines and things, but yeah, we thought we'd come and sort the lathe out and have a bit of a look around it and see what he actually got. So we freed up the 4-jaw chuck. Rick had already freed up the 3-jaw chuck. Look, there's just trays of tools and bits and pieces, and it's got a couple of quick change tool posts with it, and it's got a lot of good gear. So, so we're going to just run through it and show you what's here, just out of interest, because you all like old lathes and things on that. And it turns out it's a Toss brand lathe, which if you watch Bruce's channel, Bruce Witham, Gem Trek, get her out, Bruce. He speaks highly of these from time to time on Facebook and things. So it would have been a really good quality lathe in its day. It's got a collet closer and all that sort of thing on it. So there's a few things to sort out yet. The main spindle here, when you disengage it here, that's engaged. When you bring it back here, and that's reversed, but when you bring it back here, the brake should come on. When the brake's not working, the oil in the gearbox, the momentum of the oil keeps the gears running. It's got a bit of drag in there, so that needs fixing, and we haven't had a look yet to see what happens with that. But well, look, stay with us. I'll go handheld for a bit, then we'll take you for a bit of a walk around. They've taken the 3-phase motor off here and put a single-phase motor on, but the coolant pump motor over the back, it's still 3-phase. So yeah, what we do, I don't use coolant much, and what Rick does with that, time will tell, I suppose. But I'll just run through some of the gear. Whoever's had this lathe in the past, we believe, well, the story Rick got told was that it was an ex-Lathe lathe out of South Australia. Newcastle. And it's got New South Wales, Australia. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go for a walk around it. It's got a lot of accessories, a lot of bits and pieces with it that it's really good to get with your first lathe. So we'll go for a bit of a wander around, and we'll show you what we've got here. Yeah, this fella here, that's what I was saying about the collet closer. We've got the pipe and all that goes up in, and the boss, which we'll whiz out here. Try and stay out of the sun if I can, out of the sun. Now we've got this bloke here goes up and pulls back on the collets. Now these collets are a bit of a basket case. I don't know I haven't had a chance to go home and have a look what sort of collets these are yet. But I think Rick's going to come up home well, soon anyway, I suppose, and we'll bead blast all them. We'll get all the rust away and actually see what he's got with it. So the closer, we've worked out that when you pull the lever, the closer pulls back on here and tightens up the collet, but we haven't actually worked out when you release the lever. We've got to bump that with a soft hammer or something to release it. So we think there may be something missing there. We're not quite sure. The book's been translated into English, but pretty poorly. This is just some of the gear while we're over here. Like, we've got all changed gears, and someone's made this thing up over the years for holding a button die. Looks like it's had a bit of a crash, but oh well, that'll come good. And that's just some of the tooling. There's another die holder. And a heap of little tool steel bits and parting blades and all that. There's a stack of stuff with it. And down, that's just a boring bar holder that you can take the whole tool post off. That's an expanding mandrel. Now, yeah, I don't know what they were doing to have that, or what job they were doing, but something like for holding the flywheel and all. Now there your quick change tool post. There's a stack of them, which that's a bit of a bargain. Now this parting blade here, I'll just come in on it a bit. It's a wild bit of gear, comes down on an angle like that. I've never used that before, but Rick had a go at it and he reckons it worked well. So I don't know, leave in the comments and that down below if there's a special reason they were like that, or if we're using it right. Now we just made up a dial gauge thing yesterday. It has a drive plate, it has the thread protector, and the 3-jaw chuck has reversible jaws and a spare set of jaws that look like they're brand new just about. They don't look like they've seen much use. And so yeah, it's a pretty good thing. All the bits and pieces that came with it. So yeah, we've been down here this weekend having a sort out and having a fiddle and yeah, just trying to work a few things out with it. So I'll tidy a lot of this up, it'll be good to use, like some of these carbide boring bars and things like that. They'll be great tools to use over time. But anyway, it's just for hobby. We'll go and have a better walk around the lathe. Right, down the tailstock end, this has never been painted. That's the original colour, we believe. Yet the rest of it's been painted like a... It's hard to see. Looks like, yeah, it's a bit... Not quite a Fergie grey, but it's a machinery grey. And yeah, this fell and broke the handle off it. So he's got to give himself a bloody good talking to about that. Oh, he already has. And then, if you remember in one of the videos a little while ago, I made a couple of these little things, so I've brought one of them down and given to him.
Works bloody great.
Yeah, it works good, yeah. Yeah, if you remember, I made them out of a drill arbor, and I brought him down just a live centre to get him going. And we've been making a few chips, just trying things out, and we serviced that 4-jaw to get it all sorted, and that seems to work okay. A little bit firm, we could have cleaned it a bit better in some places, but we just couldn't get in to some places. That's where the little bead blaster would be good. And the quick change tool post here, that's a good thing. Got a number 3 up here. All the good ones have a number 3. And yeah, a little depth gauge you got with it. That's a good bit of gear. And some of the...
Jeez, you won't be able to see that, surely.
No, it washes out a bit, but yeah, some of the stuff we can't quite read yet. But some of it will polish up, and yeah, perhaps a little bit of spray with some black aerosol and sand the top off maybe, or something. We're just not sure. But yeah, it would have been a really good quality lathe in its day. It's got quite a bit of wear in through here, and if you tighten the jib to make it firm here, well, it gets a bit tight up the other end, so that probably needs a bit of work. It's got nice clear, if I can get out, nice clear markings on the compound here, and there's a spare quick change tool post holder, more boring bar holders and bits and pieces like that. HSS butt welded. So a lot of this stuff will clean up and we could have a bit of a tidy up. The old type tool post holder. Looks like they were doing a big radius on something with this bit here. So we're not sure what that's all about. Then there's more pots, more stuff down here. Looks like it needs a bit of carbide brazed on there. Here's a donkey. Hang on, I'll show you. He's excited. Hey, he wants to be on Bundy Bear's shed, you can tell. So there you go. That's a bit of a. That's what we come down to have a look at with Rick and have a bit of a fiddle and a play and try and sort stuff out. Rick used to work at Craft and he sort of used the lathe a little bit for Craft out at Kenilworth there. But been a long time. But a lot of these gears, like they'll bead blast up nicely. The collets, I think hopefully we can save them. And all these tool holders and all that sort of thing, we'll just, I'll come around this way. All these collets and all the tool holders and things like that. Hopefully we can bead blast them up and tidy them up and put a bit of lanolin coating or something on them anyway to keep them good. And go from there. So there you go. So that's in Pomona Rick's shed. Okay, we're set up on the milling machine, and these bolts that we did for the that we turned up last week in the stew for the engine stand, we need to put a hex on them. And I've had a bit of a fiddle and got a bit of a setup happening with a hex, and then that's a 1/2 inch hex, and you'll see just a little mark halfway along the hex. So I didn't think the tool was travelling past far enough. It was clearing the hex here, but I felt it could have went past a bit further. So what I've done, I've put a 1, 2, 3 block in behind where I'm setting them up in a hex ER40 collet block. And that's one of the ones that I wasn't happy with the finish along here, but I did the practice on that. And so we've actually made a couple of bolts. You can still see that little line there. So I've just for the 4 that we're going to use, these will just be stands that spares that we can do something out of. Yeah, we have these dropped in the ER40 collet. The head of these, being a turned surface, sits up against the stop, and we run coolant with it. I like to run coolant, and I actually have a little splash board up here to stop the coolant splashing all over me. And I'll see if I can keep it out of frame, and I'm hoping that I've got the camera up high enough and looking down that we don't get any coolant there as well. So we'll just crank the coolant up. I'll have it so it's just running down onto the cutter and back him right off. We don't need much. Alright, we'll have a bit of a run and see how we go. I'm actually pushing it through manually. And that's running the cutter all the way through. There's still a slight little mark there. I must have something not quite right, but look, we're going to run with it. Let's I'll just run him through. Okay, so we loosen him off. I might come round to one forward. Up against the stop, hold him down firm. Nip him up. Give him a bump, because a bump's good. Curl it on, feed on. Bit more curl, I think. Rinse and repeat. Yeah, righty, yeah. Through again. Right, I had to stop there for a minute. I had the young bloke taking the dogs for a walk and they were all barking, excited to jump in the car and go down the dam down the road there, and yes, a bit of a schmozzle. So anyway, we'll continue on. Cooling on. again. Up against the stop. Two more cuts and we're done, I think. Might increase the coolant a little. I tried running the cutter a bit faster to get rid of some of that chatter earlier when it's starting, but yeah, just didn't like that either, so just something I've got to put up with while I'm using this cutter, I think. Gearbox is a bit noisy on this little Hare and Forbes mill. Bring him up so she touches, hold him down. Lock him up. Go again. Okay, get rid of my little board here, and that should be the 6 done on this one. So that's 1/2 inch. Now I might just whiz across and get the mic. And I'll just check that the hex is still 1/2 inch where we wanted it. I'm a couple of thou over. I'm 5 thou over, I think. Oh yeah, just. So I suppose the test at this stage is, does a 1/2 inch go over? And yes, it does. A little bit firm, but that'll loosen up. Actually, you can't even see that. Here's me buggering around. But yeah, you can get a socket on there, no worries. So if a socket goes on, a ring spanner will go on, no worries. That's not flank drive, so it's actually driving on the corners. Flank drive would sit over there easily because it drives on the flats. Okay, I've got 3 more of those to do. I won't show you them, but when we get it into the lathe just to dock the top off and all that, I'll show you all that. Right, we're over on the lathe here now, and what we're going to do is we have a parting tool in here. We're going to touch off on the front lip here and then come out 0.375 and part it off, because we don't need it to be too long. So that's just touching there. We'll zero the DRO, bring him up 0.375, 6, 7, oh, too much, thanks. There we are there. Right, now we'll put a little chamfer on this surface here and this surface out here, just to make it look a bit nicer. Look at that. Pop that out of here. Excuse my arm. And there we go. That's one of our bolts. The good one's completed. Once we get these bolts in the brackets, well, then we have to make spaces out here. These will be used on every application in the engine turning stand. I might just give them a file, slight burr on a couple of these, but yeah, these will be used every time, and we're going to make adapters out of hex that say they'll have a 1/2 inch UNC female thread this end, and then we can have, in this, the first one we need is 3/8 UNC, so we'll have 3/8 UNC at the other, just like a big nut. And we also have some 3/8 UNC, and I think there's a couple of 5/16 ones too on some engines. So we're only going to make the ones that we need for the moment, the 1/2 female thread, 1/2 UNC female thread to 3/8 UNF male thread. So anyway, I'll get the other ones of these finished and I'll show you when they're all done. Well, there you go. I only need 4, but there's 6 here. This bolt here, pardon me, this bolt here, I was doing 3/4 thread and I decided to go longer to 1 inch, so I could use him if I need to. And one of the other ones here, I think it was this one here, just the finish up here wasn't 100%. So, but anyway, I've got a couple of spares. The spanner fits on them nicely. Now we have to do the next bit. That's the adapters, so we can adapt this 1/2 UNC male thread, so we can adapt that to any engine we'd like to put on the stand. So that's that for making the bolts. Well, there you go, look at that. It's a new 135, probably new in about 78 or something like that. When we come in here, it's got the power steering, the square heavy duty front axle, and the power steering pump there. That's a different power steering pump to what I've seen normally. But you never stop learning with this hobby. And look, it's not too bad. The bonnet needs chucking away. The tyres, it's got earlier rims on it. He done a deal with the neighbour for some tyres and rims, so that's okay. The final drives look pretty dry and clean. The tyres are pretty good. We had to strap the canopy on before we brought it home. But yeah, these need a bit of sandblasting and tidying up. The bottom panel on the dash is missing. I'll be looking for one of them. It's got a exhaust manifold leak up in under there, so that's no biggie. At least this elbow's, oh, it's been fixed once. They used to get over tightened and crack in here. Power steering once more. Now, on the final drives here, the front final drives, you can see there's an extension being put in here. So I'll decide whether I'll leave that there or I cut it out and bring it back to standard once more. Pardon me. And that's it from this side, so what a gem. I just travelled over to Childers to pick it up. It's a red dirt tractor. Originally it came from around the Gympie area, he said. It's got a Bearco roll frame on it with a date code of 1986. Now 86 would have been an early roll frame. But this one's got foot plates and things like that the other old clanger didn't have. And up on the dash here, that lever there, that chrome knob, that's the multi-power. Now that's been disconnected and it's been disabled inside, so I'm actually probably going to pull it apart and rehook that up again, because that gives them quite a good road speed. So there you go. I'll unload it now and go back to work.